This is why your avoidant partner needs you to leave. Most people think that when an avoidant partner starts pulling away, ignoring messages, and becoming emotionally distant, it's because they don't love you anymore. That's the first thought that comes to mind, right? You start replaying everything in your head, wondering what you did wrong, why they've changed, and why the relationship feels like it's slipping through your fingers. But here's the shocking truth. For many avoidant partners, they actually need you to leave. It's not that they consciously want to lose you, but their deep-seated fears, wounds, and attachment patterns are driving them to push you away. It's a self-sabotaging cycle they can't escape, and you're caught in the middle of it. Today, we're going to dive deep into this dynamic so you can see what's really happening and why their distance is not always about you, but about a battle inside of them. Avoidant partners often grow up in environments where closeness didn't feel safe. Maybe they had parents who were emotionally unavailable, overly critical, or distant themselves. As children, they learned that love often came with rejection, shame, or inconsistency. So as adults, they build emotional walls. They tell themselves they're independent, that they don't need anyone, that relying on others is dangerous. But here's the twist. Deep down, they do crave connection. They long for closeness, but they're terrified of it. So when you try to love them, when you try to get closer, their nervous system interprets your affection as a threat. It triggers old fears. What if I get hurt again? What if they see the real me and leave me? This fear is so strong that the avoidant would rather create distance than face it. That's why many avoidants, unconsciously, need you to walk away. It's safer for them to be left than to be vulnerable. If you've ever been with an avoidant, you've probably noticed this pattern. At the beginning of the relationship, they can be charming, attentive, and even romantic. They like the excitement of the chase because, in that phase, closeness hasn't yet become overwhelming. But the moment things start feeling real, when you get emotionally invested, when love becomes deep and steady, that's when the avoidant begins to retreat. It's not because they've stopped caring, it's because your presence is activating wounds they never healed. Every text you send, every attempt to talk about feelings, every question about where this is going, feels to them like pressure. So they withdraw. They take longer to reply. They stop making plans. They start acting like they're fine being alone, and this triggers anxiety in you. It becomes a cycle. The more you try to pull them close, the more they push away, until finally they get what they subconsciously wanted: you leave. Here's something people don't talk about. Avoidance often feels safer in heartbreak than in love. That sounds backward, right? But for someone with deep attachment wounds, love feels like walking into danger. Being left, however, feels familiar. It confirms their lifelong belief that people always leave, that they're better off alone, that they don't deserve love anyway. It's heartbreaking, but for them, it's predictable. They'd rather live in a pain they know than risk the unknown vulnerability of deep intimacy. So on some level, they orchestrate situations where their partner will get fed up and leave. It allows them to say, "See, I knew this would happen." It validates their walls. And tragically, it prevents them from healing, because every relationship that ends this way convinces them more and more that closeness isn't safe. But here's where you come in. If you're in love with an avoidant partner, it's not your job to fix them, but understanding this dynamic can protect your heart. When they pull away, it's not always rejection. Sometimes it's a cry for safety. They're terrified of losing themselves in the relationship. They're terrified of being seen. They're terrified that if they open their heart fully, you'll crush it. So they distance themselves first. And when you respond with panic, chasing, or over-explaining, it feeds their fear. They feel like they're being cornered. In their mind, this is proof that intimacy equals danger. And so the cycle deepens. They pull back more, you chase harder, and the relationship feels like a war zone instead of a safe space. This is why walking away isn't always about giving up. For many avoidants, your decision to step back, to stop chasing, to stop begging for closeness is the only thing that shakes them. It disrupts the narrative they've been living with their entire life. Suddenly, they're not the one pulling away, you are. And this forces them to confront something they've been avoiding for years: their fear of abandonment. They've been running from it by building walls, but when you finally walk away, that fear becomes real. And for many avoidants, that's the only moment they realize how much they actually cared. It's why you often see avoidant exes come back after a breakup. It's not just regret, it's that your absence was louder than their fear. If you've ever noticed how an avoidant partner reacts after you go silent, you'll see this in action. At first, they may seem relieved. They enjoy their space. They convince themselves they didn't really need you anyway. But then slowly, your absence starts to hurt. Avoidants may not show it, but they do feel deeply. They just don't know how to express it. And when the reality of losing you sinks in, their walls start to feel like a prison. They miss your presence, your kindness, your warmth. They begin to realize that pushing you away only hurt them too. This is often when they reach out, apologize, or even try to win you back. The truth is, walking away from an avoidant isn't about punishing them. It's about protecting your peace. You can't convince someone to heal if they're not ready. You can't love someone into feeling safe if they've never felt safe with themselves. What you can do is stop pouring your energy into a dynamic that leaves you drained. Stepping back gives them space to reflect, but more importantly, it gives you space to reclaim your power. It's not your job to carry the emotional weight of two people. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for an avoidant partner is to stop making it easy for them to hide behind their walls. Think about it like this. Every time you chase someone who's running, you're reinforcing their belief that they're in control of the relationship. But when you stop running after them, you send a different message. I love you, but I love myself too. That's the moment many avoidants start to feel the consequences of their emotional avoidance. It's not that you're manipulating them, it's that you're no longer enabling their pattern, and that can be a wake-up call. For some, it's the push they need to start therapy, to look at their childhood wounds, to confront their fear of intimacy. For others, sadly, they'll continue running. But either way, stepping back sets you free. It's also worth saying this. You deserve a love that feels safe, steady, and secure. You deserve a partner who meets you halfway. And if you're stuck in a cycle where you're always proving your worth, always calming their fears, always making excuses for why they treat you this way, you're sacrificing your emotional well-being for someone who isn't ready to meet you there. Avoidants often need to lose something real before they realize what they had. But that's not your burden to carry. If you choose to walk away, you're not abandoning them. You're giving them a chance to face themselves. So if you've been feeling unloved, unseen, or emotionally starved in your relationship with an avoidant partner, let this be your reminder. Their behavior is not proof that you're unworthy of love. It's a reflection of their wounds. But love should not feel like begging. Love should not feel like a battlefield. Sometimes the best thing you can do for both of you is to step back, not to punish, but to protect your heart and show them what they stand to lose. And maybe, just maybe, your absence will be the thing that helps them realize what closeness could feel like if they were brave enough to let love in.